Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Jim Webb. I serve as the Senior Minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I'm the author of the book, The Soul of Prosperity, as well as Creating Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board, Prosperity from A to Z, and 30 P's to Prosperity. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here every Sunday evening discussing with you one of the many aspects of prosperity. Because we know prosperity is much more than just money and stuff. We know that prosperity is simply the energy, love, creative flow, and grace of God taking form. And it can take many forms. It can take the form of professional prosperity, where, in the words of Florence Scovel Shinn, we have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where we provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way. It can take the form of relationship prosperity, where our relationships are sources of support and upliftment instead of being sources of conflict and worry. Prosperity can take the form of financial prosperity, where we have all of the resources necessary for us to enjoy our lives, and more than enough that we have some to spare and some to share. Prosperity can also take the form of spiritual prosperity, where we experience the peace that passes all understanding, regardless of what is going on in our worlds. The list goes on, and I could list them for quite a while, but I'd rather discuss them with you and share interesting insights with you from me and my guests. So tonight we've got quite a special show planned. I call it Getting to the Bottom of the Iceberg. Getting to the Bottom of the Iceberg. And the reason I call this show Getting to the Bottom of the Iceberg is because our consciousness is what creates our experience. Our consciousness is the amalgamation of our thoughts, our beliefs, our past experiences, our energies around our thoughts and beliefs, because our thoughts and beliefs create energies that we emanate, and the energies that we emanate attract their reflection. But our consciousness is like an iceberg. There is a part of our consciousness of which we are aware, and that is like the part of the iceberg that is above the surface. But then there is the part of our consciousness beneath the surface, our unconscious mind, if you will. And our unconscious mind may have a different will than our conscious mind. Our conscious mind, for example, may want love. Our conscious mind may believe that it is ready for love, and it may believe that it is deserving of love. However, our unconscious mind may have memories of love that it associates with abandonment. Our unconscious mind may have memories of love that it associates with pain. Our unconscious mind may have memories of love that it associates with hurt and shame. So our unconscious mind is creating just as our conscious mind is creating. And of course, ambiguous desires will yield ambiguous results. And that frustrates us. So it's important to understand not only what's on the surface that we can see, the iceberg that we can see, but it's important to understand the part of the iceberg that lies beneath the surface as well, our unconscious mind. Because the part of the iceberg that sunk the Titanic wasn't what it could see. The Titanic thought it had steered clear of the iceberg. What they didn't realize was that the iceberg went beneath the surface, and the part of the iceberg beneath the surface tore the bottom out of the ship, causing it to capsize. Well, our unconscious minds beneath the surface of our awareness can tear the bottom out of our dreams, causing our dreams to capsize. And that's why it's important to get to the bottom of the iceberg. Now, one of the techniques or tools for getting to the bottom of the iceberg is self-inquiry, self-awareness. And self-inquiry is a tool that helps us to develop the self-awareness to identify the ideas beneath the surface that may sabotage our desires. And it's a tool that can be used to align our minds with God. So the mind of God, which says, "You are wonderful, lovable, holy, and whole, and you deserve every gift and blessing of my grace." So that our minds agree with God, and we realize on every level, both consciously and unconsciously, that we are deserving, that we deserve the blessings and bounty of God, and that we can allow them. So self-inquiry is a powerful yet misunderstood spiritual tool to help us get to the bottom of the iceberg. And that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Self-inquiry as a way to get to the bottom of the iceberg. And my special guest tonight is one of your favorites, and mine too, Edward Miller, author of the book Soul Power. And I'm always so glad to have my beloved brother Edward on the show. And he's going to tell us so much about self-inquiry, its importance, and how we can use it. So, Ed, this self-inquiry thing, tell me about its origin first of all.
The origin of self-inquiry is interesting. It's a Hindu practice, but
Mhm,
its origin has been given to Sir Ramana Maharaj, who is a Hindu teacher, and
mhm,
he has been, he's I think he died. It must have died 30 years ago or so, or 40 years ago or so. But he's an interesting guy, and he developed a practice called the direct path in non-duality. The direct path, and direct path had a practice which he developed called self-inquiry. And I want to read a little bit here, which I got from about self-inquiry I want to share. It says self-inquiry is a powerful technique that helps individuals understand and gain insight into the thoughts and their emotional behaviors. The practice involves a deep examination into one's inner self, which leads to one, a better understanding of one's true nature, which we're going to get into a little bit more, a better understanding of one's true nature, and two, ultimate liberation. And we'll get into that. Why is this inquiry process a doorway to the ultimate liberation? And third, it promotes emotional well-being and personal growth. Self-inquiry, investigating our experiences to find out that all thought of identity are transitory and temporary. And that
mhm,
what we're really dealing with is we're really dealing with the truth of ourselves as conscious awareness. And
mhm.
once we become very aware of we are in truth, we can, no matter what comes up in mind, no matter what thought about ourselves come up in mind, we can always then um, resign with the truth of our awareness, the truth of our knowledge itself as a conscious awareness. So we're deconstructing identity. We're
Okay,
realizing there really is nothing there. And
okay.
once we get clear on that, we can let
Mhm.
go of all of our suffering, all of our stories, all of our
Yes,
personal attacks on ourselves. We can still then, as you said before, relate to ourselves in a divine way. We're
yes.
not these flawed human beings. We are conscious awareness. And once you start to relate to yourself as conscious awareness, you're able to feel the wholeness of it.
Okay.
You're not so much cut into pieces and parts and identities and
Yeah.
personas and thoughts and behaviors. You are conscious awareness at your essence.
Okay, that helps me understand. And for our Course in Miracles folks here, one of the contexts that we have for this is uh, a certain set of lessons where A Course in Miracles tells us, in this moment, I'm feeling sad. In this moment, I'm feeling happy. In this moment, I am this. In this moment, I am that. But every time we do that, we say, but I am very holy.
That's right.
And what that does is it takes us from that as you said, Ed, that temporal belief in ourselves as the static thing that is perhaps at odds with God, back to our truest and highest nature as at one with God.
Exactly.
So that helps me understand that we are helps me understand the idea of ourselves as conscious awareness. Thank you.
It's a
Wow.
big deal because it frees us from all of our
Yes.
karma. It
Mm-hmm.
frees us from all of our woundedness because
Mm-hmm.
in our essence, we can't be wounded. We can
Yes.
only be conscious awareness.
Yes.
We
My
start to,
essence may be wounded for a moment, but in
yeah,
truth, I am very holy. My
absolutely.
essence may have been miseducated into feeling it is my a part of me may have been miseducated into feeling that I am flawed, but in truth, I am very holy. A part of me may have felt disempowered by a certain situation in my past, yet I am very holy. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, but
Yes.
it's a remembering process. But
Yes.
I believe is that we should be in constant, continual um, uh, awareness of that thought. Because what
Mm-hmm.
happens is we sometimes we're going through trauma and we have pain and we have woundedness, and then
Mm-hmm.
we start to imagine it as being real. We start
Yes.
to
Okay.
imagine it's something that we have to bear, and something that we have
Yes.
to explain, understand, or reason with. But
Yes.
self inquiry lets you cut through all that and remember the truth of your
Yes.
nature.
Uh-huh.
So let me go through a few things that how self inquiry from the direct path how it's worked. The example of self inquiry questions are, "Who am I?" So what happens is that things happen, you get triggered, and then you have to say, "Well, who am I?"
Yeah, so let's unpack that a little bit.
Yes,
Who am I?
yeah,
There's a part of me that feels triggered, but in truth I am the wholly beloved of God. In the
yes,
truth, I am whole. In truth, I am complete. In truth, I am lovable. In truth, I am love. In truth, I am loving.
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The
Because I
next
like to
one,
break it down for our
yeah.
guests.
What is my true nature? That's the next question you could be inquiring
My
about. Who
true
am I?
nature is not this thing I'm feeling in the moment. My true nature is love. For
Yes.
love is what created me. And as A Course in Miracles says, love created me like itself.
Exactly. Spacious and whole. Yeah.
Yes.
The next question are what are my core beliefs and assumptions about myself and the world?
Yes. Let's work with that for a moment. My core beliefs in the past until today may have been of a vicious, angry, punitive, judgmental, and abandoning God, of a world that was wicked and hostile, and of myself as less than. But in
Yes.
truth, I God loves me. The universe supports me, and I am love.
I am love. I am ultimately nothing more than love.
Yes.
And
And nothing less.
isn't that a beautiful thing to say? I am nothing more than love. So when you say that, you've got to be aware that your mind takes on all kinds of identities and
Yes.
personas and beliefs, but
Mhm.
none of it can be true.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
I
nothing.
love what you said in the beginning, Ed. We take on these temporary personas. Actually, our brilliant speaker earlier today in my church service, Reverend Cynthia Tootle, talked about how everyone at one point has felt everything. But that does not take away from the truth that everyone at every point is holy.
It's holy. Yeah, yeah, I love that. All right. What are the sources of my thoughts and emotions? What are the sources of my thoughts and emotions?
Mm. The sources of my thoughts and emotions have been my past. For in truth, as A Course in Miracles says, I see only the past. And
Yes,
those sources have been flawed. In the
yes,
same way that a lead pipe will put lead in the water, the sources of my beliefs and emotions have been flawed sources filled with misinformation. I have been filled with
Yeah.
information that has hidden my true identity from me.
Yes. And thoughts are always about the past or the future.
Yes.
When we're present
Mm.
and being and in our being state, the
Mm-hmm.
past and future doesn't really matter. It doesn't, it's just a thought. But when we
Mm-hmm.
can be really present and whole with ourselves, we can get
Mm-hmm.
out of those stories of wrong or conditional love, or that are tying us to some ego idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay. The next one is how do my thoughts and emotions impact my behavior and relationships?
So, what is this thought I'm having, and what is it doing to me? Is it
There
causing me
you
to run
go.
away from the love that I say that I want because
Say that
love
I
equals
am.
fear?
Say that I am.
The love that I am, because
Yes.
of the fear that my past associations of love with pain would cause me more pain.
Exactly.
So that's how our thoughts affect our emotions, and how our
That is
emotions
exactly
affect our
true.
behavior, and
Yes.
how our
Perfect.
behaviors affect our prosperity.
Now, what am I attached to and what can I let go of?
Talk to me about that, Mr. Ed.
Well,
What am I
what am I
attached to?
attached to are thoughts and beliefs that are from the past.
Yes. So I'm attached to this idea of what my happiness and my wholeness is supposed to look like, because that's what somebody told me in my
Yes.
misinformation. And
Yes.
if my present doesn't look exactly like that, I'm going to get mad. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to feel less than. I'm going to beat myself up, and I'm going to withhold my good from myself. But if I release that attachment and understand that I am love
That's
just
right.
as I am,
You are. Yes. Yes.
boom. Amen.
Uh, amen. Next, why do I react like that?
What conditioning and unconscious ideas are triggering me, and what are those based in truth, or are those illusions that I have misunderstood?
Beautiful.
Mm,
Beautiful. I hope that the listeners are hearing how you are interpreting these questions of inquiry, because they're right on the mark, right on the mark. And here's one. Why do I react like that? Did I say that one already? Why do I react like that? You
why
react,
do I react like that?
yeah, why do you react?
And am I reacting out of the truth or out of the illusion? If I'm reacting out of the illusion, I am feeling attacked. If I am reacting out of the illusion, I am feeling less than. If I
Yes,
am reacting out of the illusion, I am feeling put upon. But if I am reacting out of truth, this doesn't matter. If
yeah,
I'm reacting out of truth,
that's right. It doesn't matter. It's not worth owning. It's not worth believing in. It's not
yes,
worth trying to find. Listen to this. It's not worth reasoning with.
yes. And it's not worth, you know what else it's not worth, Mr. Ed? It's not worth my precious, holy, creative energy.
That's
Because
right.
my precious, holy, creative energy can be used, or it can be misused.
That's
I
right.
can use my sacred, powerful, precious, holy energy to magnify the God essence and its creations in my world,
Exactly right.
or I can misuse it and waste it on this BS.
Exactly. And that's another way of saying this: attention.
Yes.
What am I putting my attention on? Is it something that's true, or is it
Hmm.
something more illusion?
Yes. And energy flows where attention goes. So where you put your attention is where you are investing your creative energy. And if you're misinvesting your creative energy on stuff of the illusion, it's like burying money in your backyard instead of putting it in the bank where it can gain interest.
That's exactly right. Inquiry is a stopgap. It stops the mind from going out into the ego and find reasons and understanding.
So in
All of
other
us,
words, when
we're
our
looking
minds
for,
start going down a rabbit hole, we can use inquiry to stop it. Is that
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Well, the last one is, why does this trigger me?
Mm.
Why does
Why
this
does
trigger
this
me?
trigger me?
Yeah,
And one of the ways that we can identify why does this trigger me is understanding. Anything that triggers you is based on the illusion.
exactly.
So for example, somebody doesn't treat you the way you, quote, should be treated, that's an outer reflection of a part of you that feels less than. That is
Yes.
an illusion because you are love.
Yeah.
However, you are being triggered because you are in the illusion. And a trigger is an opportunity for you to move out of the illusion and into the truth of yourself as holy. A trigger is simply a tap on the shoulder by the universe. Hey, pay attention, become
Attention.
aware. You've
Wake up.
slipped into a dream. You are not in your true and highest self right now.
Yes, 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 yes. You had said that it's remembering the truth of your nature as love. Love
Yes.
doesn't have problems.
Mm-hmm.
Love doesn't try to cut things up into pieces and parts that it can dissect and reason with.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely open. It has
Mm-hmm.
no conditions. It's
Mm-hmm.
heartfelt. It's
Yes.
universal.
Yes.
That's who you are. That's who
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And 1 Corinthians 13th chapter. Amen. That's what
Yes.
love is. So we've got a lot of ways that we can practice self-inquiry. And that's a lot for our viewers to digest. So we're
It is.
going to give them an opportunity to digest that as we go to commercial break because we've got to sell some soap. And we're going to come back and look at how we can apply this based on certain lessons in A Course in Miracles. And so
Absolutely.
I want you all, as our viewers, to get your questions ready for Mr. Ed as we are here on the New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
People of African Descent New Thought Group proudly presents Celebrating Our Soul, Consciously Creating Change at Unity Village, Thursday, August 1st through Sunday, August 4th. Some of our greatest keynote speakers, some of our finest musicians and vocalists, some of our amazing and experienced panelists, and some of our fabulous masterclass presenters will be there for you at Celebrating Our Soul, Consciously Creating Change at Unity Village this summer. Regular registration ends June 30th, so don't delay. Register today at padntg.com. Sponsorship opportunities are available at padntg.com. Volunteer opportunities are available at padntg.com. Go there now, padntg.com. See you there.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity with my special guest, Edward Miller, author of Soul Power. Now, we've been discussing getting to the bottom of the iceberg. The iceberg being that our unconscious mind and its unconscious conditioning can uncreate what our conscious minds want to create, or it can miscreate what our conscious minds desire to create. And we have to get to that. So we've been working with and talking about this special process called self-inquiry. And we can apply that self-inquiry to our minds once we understand how our minds work and how our minds have been miseducated to misfire. I want to repeat that. We can get to the bottom of the iceberg of our consciousness through a process of self-inquiry which helps us understand our minds, and when we understand how our minds have been miseducated to misfire. And A Course in Miracles, the first 8 lessons, gives us some insights into how our minds have been miseducated to misfire, and how self-inquiry can help us with this. So Ed, can you talk to our guests a little about that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love the Course in Miracles. my background in Course in Miracles was when I first started taking classes in Course in Miracles, it blew my mind. It expanded me, but I didn't understand that there was a practice there also.
Yes.
And that if you do the practice, you start to disconnect from your persona, your identities, and start to see yourself in a different way.
Yes.
So what I did was I identified the first 9 lessons, and I want to kind of go over all these lessons with you and kind of discuss them and get your insights on them. So the first lesson is nothing I see means anything. So for example, this phone doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Because we're very used to creating identity with objects.
Mm-hmm.
So when if you're going to do inquiry, you're going to say nothing I see. You have to realize the I is the persona,
The ego.
The ego. So if you let go of that, you realize that there's that nothing I see means anything, because I doesn't exist. This identity is only manufactured, made up, and perceived. It's not.
And all these meanings I have placed on everything based on my memories and my miseducation are equally manufactured and made up and have nothing to do with my true essence.
Yeah, that's perfect. The next one is I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me.
In other words, my miseducation and my memories have been projected onto this object. They have filled the space in my mind of this object with stories of the past and stories of error.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, let's go to the next one. I do not understand anything. I do not understand anything that I see. I do not understand anything that I see.
And this helps us to begin the process of releasing, as you said before, our attachment to the past and to our miseducation.
Yes.
When we say, I don't understand this, what we're really saying is all these, let's do a coffee cup, okay? A coffee cup you got in Provincetown in 1986. And every time you pick up that coffee cup, you're not drinking coffee out of it. You're remembering that wonderful yet tumultuous, interesting yet crazy trip. So every time you pick up that coffee cup, you're in the past. And all those ideas about yourself and who you were and what you were back in 1986 are living in and on that coffie cup.
Exactly.
And those memories are keeping you from your divinity.
Well, they do.
Those memories are keeping you from your holiness.
Absolutely. When we fill our mind with ideas, thoughts, and memories, we're not present.
Right.
We're not living in the moment because we're seeing something based on some construct from the matrix, not from the moment that we're in.
Right. We're back at when you pick up that coffee cup, you're back in 1986.
Exactly.
And who you were, or who you thought you were, what you thought, what you believed, and your energy in 1986 is nothing like what it is now. But every time you go down the rabbit hole back there, you're bringing some of that energy up. And you know what that energy miscreated in 1986. And you're giving it a portal to miscreate yet again. So
Absolutely.
we have to say, I don't understand this. I'm going to release all of that. I'm going to be prepared to replace all of that.
Yes. It's like sentimentality. People
Yes.
believe that sentimentality is those warm, fuzzy feelings we have about objects,
Mm-hmm.
about our car and our pictures and our, all the things that we have tied story to. But
Mm-hmm.
sentimentality is keeping us from the present moment. It's keeping us, it's keeping us from
yes.
seeing the possibility of the moment, because we're tying,
Yes.
we're tying lots of story to it.
Exactly. And you know what else? A Course in Miracles teaches us in a very subtle way, because some of us say, well, no, nothing ever means anything, but that's a picture of my mama. And that picture of my mama means something.
That means something, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And so what A Course in Miracles teaches us is, yes, there is some, you may even have some joy, some peace, some comfort, and some safety attached to some of these things. But there is so much more than that in this moment,
wow,
because you haven't even begun to scratch the surface of the
exactly.
love that God has for you.
I
And
love
that's
that.
how we can address the attachment to certain things. Oh, no, no, no. Nothing means anything except for that picture of my mama.
And she means everything to me.
Right.
All right, let me go to the next one. These thoughts do not mean anything. Well, we've kind of talked about these thoughts don't mean anything.
Right.
We've got to be able to allow ourselves to be triggered with a thought and
Yes.
become aware that that thought doesn't mean anything. It's not something to figure out. There's nothing there to try to wrestle with. It's just a thought. Thoughts come in consciousness. They're always coming and going. And sometimes when you're allowing yourself to feel things, first thing we start doing is trying to find the reasons why.
Right.
Well, what inquiry teaches you to do is to not tie any story to a thought or a sensation or a feeling. Just be aware of it. Allow it to move through you. Now, sometimes what happens when you do that with thoughts and sensations and feelings, later on you get a new awareness. Something will come up. But if you spend the moment in exploring why I'm feeling this way and why that happened, you get lost in the matrix again. And you're not free anymore. You're not really even free for a new way of looking at it, because you're so controlled by your old mind.
In other words, don't chase the fleeting thought down the rabbit hole.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, let it come and go as thoughts do, and don't don't put any identity on it.
Yes. Okay.
Which is hard for people, because some people believe their thoughts and emotions and sensations mean everything.
Because of all the energy they've attached to them
throughout their lives. Yes.
And the electromagnetic and emotional resonance of them, because they move them, they hit them, they touch them, and that's why they think they are things, and that's why they think they are meaningful. But of course, as you get to some of the other next lessons, these thoughts are meaningless. They don't mean anything, and these meaningless thoughts are creating a meaningless world. We are chasing these meaningless thoughts down the rabbit hole of a world that does not serve us, when we could instead open to the thoughts of God and evolve into a world and create a world that serves us wonderfully.
Yeah, and also be present in the moment.
Yes.
Be aware in the moment and see really what's new to be explored. What's a new idea? What's a new way of seeing things?
Yes.
What's a new opportunity?
Yes.
That's when we're not chasing our thinking, we're available for all kinds of inspiration.
Exactly. So don't chase those thoughts down a rabbit hole.
Yes. The next one is, I was never upset, which I say angry, fearful, jealous, or depressed, for the reasons I think. I'll say it again. I was never upset, and upset meaning, angry, fearful, jealous, or depressed with the reasons I think.
Yes, exactly. For example, somebody cuts you off in a business meeting, and you think you're upset, angry, dejected, uh, or otherwise feeling out of sorts because somebody cut you off in a business meeting. And it's never that.
No.
That is attached to something in childhood where you felt unseen, and that is attached to a core idea of your miseducation that you are not important, not loved, not seen by God. So you're never upset for the reasons you think.
Never. No. And that statement gives you an opportunity to remember the truth of your nature again.
Yes. The truth of my nature is I am loved, seen, whole, and held by God.
Yes.
So this illusory thought that I wasn't, I can just let it go. I don't have to chase it down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I love that. Let's go to the last three. Here we go. I am upset because I see something that is not there.
I am seeing an illusion based on the past.
Yes,
I am seeing this person as my daddy who couldn't pay attention to me. I am seeing this person as my mama who knocked me off her lap because a new baby came through, my little sister. I am seeing this not as I am now. I am seeing this through the lens of my awkward 13-year-old, unsure of himself or herself person.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything as it is now. I see it through the lens of my false ego. And that's not who I am at all. So really, I'm not seeing a thing.
You're seeing the constructs of thought, memory, and past.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see only the past. I see only the past in this object. Name the object.
In other words, everything I see, I am projecting what it is.
Yes.
And what I am projecting is my miseducation about it. What I am projecting is my memory of it. What I am projecting is what it meant in the past, not what it means right now when God is using it to teach me, to hold me, or to lift me up.
Yeah. And what you're seeing is the desire of it too.
Yes.
We have desire.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah. And that also torments us. We have desire, and then because we want for it, and then we're not having it, then we feel something's wrong.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And lastly, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I see nothing as it is now.
So in other words, everything I see, I am projecting my past miseducation about it, my past desires about it, my past pain about it, the fears and doubts that it created in the past, I'm projecting those forward. And when I am clogging up my mind with all of that, there is not room for me to see with the eyes of God.
Yes. Through the heart of love.
Through the heart of love, through the eyes of God, through the heart of love, and through the eyes of God. And so what I'm doing is I'm clogging God's channel.
Oh, absolutely. We're looking at life through a veil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through a glass darkly, as 1 Corinthians 13th chapter says. And why would I clog God's channel of grace when God has chosen each and every one of us as his or her channel for grace? So what you've just demonstrated, Ed, is so wonderful and so powerful for our viewers. And that is how we can use self-inquiry to get to the bottom of the iceberg.
Yes.
So that we can eliminate having the bottom of the iceberg knock a hole in our prosperity. Thank you. And what we're going to do is we've got quite a few questions, and we're going to take those questions in the next segment, as well as some announcements. So we saw your questions, folks, and we can't wait to get to them. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and then we're going to answer your questions here on the New Thought Media.
People of African Descent New Thought Group proudly presents Celebrating Our Soul, Consciously Creating Change at Unity Village, Thursday, August 1st through Sunday, August 4th. Some of our greatest keynote speakers, some of our finest musicians and vocalists, some of our amazing and experienced panelists, and some of our fabulous masterclass presenters will be there for you at Celebrating Our Soul, Consciously Creating Change at Unity Village this summer. Regular registration ends June 30th, so don't delay. Register today at padntg.com. Sponsorship opportunities are available at padntg.com. Volunteer opportunities are available at padntg.com. Go there now, padntg.com. See you there.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity. And we're going to do a couple of questions that we received. At the 8:26 moment, we received a question from Rosemary Isabella Bird, or an observation about Rosemary Isabella Bird. And I'd like for you to comment on this, Mr. Ed.
Okay, I'm hearing self-love is the pivotal standing point of one's highest and best and most loving path. With this information, oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. Self-love is the pivotal point. And I think that it's a beautiful trigger to remembering the truth of your nature. Being always aware, am I loving? Am I being loving to myself? Am I being kind? Am I being compassionate to myself? Self-love is a continual process also, moment by moment awareness of how you're relating to the truth of your nature, of yourself, even of your innocent self.
Yes, absolutely. In my book, The Soul of Prosperity, right in the middle of the book, in bold letters, because it is the central premise of the book, is that self-love is the key to prosperity. So thank you for a wonderful question, Rosemary Isabella Bird. And we, at the 8:27.
I want to say one thing about, you talked a little bit about, the unconscious and subconscious mind and how we don't know what's there. And when we get triggered, we're consciously thinking we're strong, determined, clear individuals. But then when we get triggered, we go back into all of our subconscious and unconscious programming and respond there. And, the inquiry process gives you a shortcut to even let that go.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing there in the subconscious that has to be bared. There's no subconscious stories or beliefs that you have to take on. You just have to immediately become aware of the truth of your nature. Just immediately remember who you are as conscious awareness. And all that past subconscious programming becomes less important.
Yes. Beautiful.
What you becomes less important.
Yes. Thank you. You disempower it.
Yes.
You disempower it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, the second question that we had was from the 8:27 hour by Jane Bad.
Oh dear. How to not feel fear from political issues, how to see through an illusion there and dissolve fear, and how to perceive light, love, presence working in a large conflict. Thanks. Let me say something to you about that. As I become, and I'm sure you're going to be able to relate to this, Reverend Jim, as I become more self-aware, as I've detached from my own persona and identity, the world looks perfect to me. There really is nothing wrong except for how I interpret it. There is no problem that I have outside of how my mind is interpreting it. So I can be self-loving and let go of my problematic thinking. That's about politics too, about the wrong in this politician and the fear of what the consequences are going to be. All those are thoughts that our mind take on that are not loving even to you. They're not loving even to you because they terrorize you. They tell you that something's wrong or something needs to be changed or fixed. And in truth, there's nothing wrong. And there's nothing needs to be changed or fixed except for the awareness of self, awareness
Yes.
of the truth of self.
Yes. A Course in Miracles, one of the lessons is only my thoughts injure me.
Yes.
And a corollary lesson to that is, I believe, 240. Nowhere in God's creation am I unsafe, as God's beloved. And of course, the subtext there is, as God's holy and beloved child, nowhere in God's universe am I unsafe. So those two things together help us understand that the injurious thoughts we have about our political process. This party's going to get in power and they are going to hurt me. They're going to take my rights away. They're going to create a world that is unsafe for me. Those thoughts are based on the idea that we are vulnerable victims, based on our false ego persona.
Exactly.
And so our task is to stay into, remain in, and assume the consciousness of our highest, most loving, holy self, which is beyond reproach and attack. And that part of us cannot be attacked. And
Yeah.
so the idea is to become aware of the unconscious thoughts that are based in the illusion of our not enoughness and our victimhood, and instead to choose the thought of our highest self. What is the highest thought here? What is the highest truth here? What is the highest energy here? And when we choose that highest thought, that highest truth, that highest energy, and this is the important part, that highest truth and that highest energy can move into us, can move through us, can embrace us, can infill us, causing us to be at that highest pinnacle of vibration.
Yes.
And at that highest pinnacle of vibration, we vibrate with that highest love, and we can only attract that highest love.
Yes.
And we can be at peace no matter what's happening in the world.
And you know what? We because the world has made good guys and bad guys, and and threats and peaceful pursuits. Those are all thoughts. So we're sitting there always in judgment. They're wrong. They need to be like this. They are the reason why. When you become more loving to yourself, you also try to find opportunities to love others also in every way you can. Those that you think are deplorable are there for you to learn to love. And I know that sounds so Pollyanna, but it's the truth. You can find love in every relationship.
Yes. We recently did a meditation. It's available on my YouTube page called Healing the Mistaken Ones. And that process started with healing the mistaken ones within us. The 13-year-old girl who thought she was ugly. The 15-year-old boy who thought he wasn't enough. The 8-year-old who thought that somehow something was wrong with them when they began to realize their difference. Those are mistaken ones that live within us. And when we heal those mistaken ones and move into a place of inner forgiveness with those mistaken ones, then we can see the mistaken ones outside of us.
Yes.
And we can have compassion for the mistaken ones outside of us as well. And we see them not as enemies. We see them as not as deplorables. We instead see them as They are mistaken ones, just like
Yeah,
the mistaken
just
ones
like
within.
me, just like me.
Yes,
I get deluded. I buy
yes,
into crazy stuff. I believe all kinds of stupid ideas at times. And
yes.
when you look out there and you see people who believe things that you call deplorable, you got to be aware that people are going to think what you believe is deplorable. So I mean,
There
it's
is a
all
mistaken one.
yeah. We've got to
Yes.
learn to release our anxiety, anger for the other because
Mm-hmm.
they're us too.
Uh-huh. Yes, absolutely. You, me and my mother, father, God are one, and me and my brothers are one as well.
Absolutely,
And Jane concurs that the Dalai Lama says something similar. Everything is to teach us compassion.
it is.
And self awareness and self inquiry can help us to have more compassion for ourselves. So I thank you, Ed, for joining us today and discussing self inquiry and how we can apply it to our experience. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Thank
What are
you.
you working on these days, Ed?
Well, I've been on vacation for the past month, but I'm getting ready to have a book, and I've talked about this before, a big book club. My book,
Yes.
Uncovering and Embracing Soul Power, is a
Mhm.
great tool for getting closer to yourself, learning to self-love, learning to forgive, learning to become aware of the truth of your own nature. It's a wonderful step-by-step process of doing that. And if there are anybody in this audience that wants to participate in a really creative book club, a small group, no larger than 35 people are going to be in this book club, but it's going to be fun. We're going to have great discussions, and it's going to be very self-enlightening, very enlightening.
Wonderful, exciting. And so they go to your website to
Yes,
find
and
out more
I'll
information on
even
it.
give you more information about it as we solidify the date and the
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Sounds like you're working on some exciting stuff, Ed.
I am. I have a beautiful life, and I'm very blessed. Uh,
You are, and you've got some exciting stuff you're working on.
yeah. How
That's
about you?
cool.
What have you been working on lately? You're
Oh,
always.
well, I just came up with something new.
Uh-oh.
I just came up with a pop up class. And this pop up class popped into my head because it's the middle of the year,
Yeah.
and quite often we do a mid year review of where we are in our manifestation process. So it's time to dust off those old vision boards. We're going to do updating and blessing your vision board. It's a pop up class, it's one night only, and it's on Monday. I can't read the date, but I believe it's the 17th of June
17th of
at
June.
and 7:30 to 9:30, and it's a pop-up class where you see Spirit has been downloading all this new information to me, new information on how we can bring our vision boards to life, new information on how we can approach our vision boards. And so this pop-up class gives us an opportunity to apply some of that new information, to update our vision boards, to dust them off, to reignite them. And Spirit gave me some new techniques for reigniting our vision boards. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to kind of kickstart our manifestation process if it has languished. And this is a precursor to, but not a prerequisite for, my summer manifestation series, which begins on Monday, June 24th. My summer manifestation series is 2 classes for 8 weeks, 2 hours on Mondays and 2 hours on Thursdays. It's all on Zoom, so if you can't make it, you can get the recordings. But it's all about all this new information that Spirit has been giving on manifesting. On Mondays for 2 hours for 8 weeks, we're going to be hearing more on manifestation. What that is Spirit speaks more on manifestation. So you can ask questions of Spirit on your manifestation process. You'll be getting additional information on manifestation based on all this new energy that's coming through. And you can just fine tune and jumpstart your manifestation process. Then on Thursdays, we're going to be putting all this information to use with more manifestation methods. Spirit has also been putting through some new ways that we can manifest. So on Thursdays, you get a chance to practice these new manifestation methods based on your individual manifestation process.
You
So
know,
this is an 8 week series. It includes, and listen to this. This series also includes a free 20-minute manifestation consultation with
uh,
me.
wow. That is,
So it's
yeah,
packed with so much
yeah.
value. And tonight at midnight, the pre-registration period ends. So if you sign up before midnight tonight, you can save $75 off of the registration fee. After tonight, that $75 discount goes away. So if you've got any questions, you can text me at 202-253-6009. Make your reservation before midnight tonight to take advantage of the discount and before this class sells out. I'm giving you an opportunity to make your reservation tonight. My classes tend to sell out, and even if you don't have full funding tonight, make your reservation with a deposit. You can get the discount and you can save your space before the class sells out. Because I'm 70% sold out already, and we still have 2 weeks before this class begins. So this is your opportunity to save $75 on the whole package, but it's such a value. Even if you don't save the $75, you're getting an amazing value. So I'm looking forward to our summer manifestation series. Jumpstart your manifestation process. Even if you've manifested some of the things on your vision boards, as I have, it's time to update them because Spirit has something more for you. So that's what I'm working on. It's quite exciting.
It is. It is.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't wait to be in Fort Lauderdale when you're in Fort Lauderdale again. Sorry I missed you this last trip.
You didn't miss me this last trip.
Oh, that's right. What I meant was I missed us doing a joint program together in
Oh,
the
yeah, I
same
got you. I'm sorry.
studio
You're right.
because you
Okay,
were in
we did.
Costa
Okay,
Rica on
that's
Sunday
true.
night.
That is true. But we did have dinner just last
But we
week.
did have dinner. We had a
We
ball.
did.
Yes, what I meant was I missed you doing a program with you live and in person.
No, I love that. I love
Oh,
that.
absolutely. So we'll do that again, and you'll be with us here, our audience. I want to take a moment to thank our producer, Michael Mangus. We couldn't do this without him.
He's
And
wonderful.
you know how Reverend Webb is, but Michael Mangus holds it all together.
He pulls
So I
it off.
want to thank our producer, Michael Mangus. I want to thank our audience for being with us tonight. And we're going to see you again here on the Miracle of Prosperity on the New Thought Media Network.